Initially, the plan was to go in. You'll remember we have that little line that says add menu here or something like that. And I was going to go into the template and add the template menu in. Since I've been doing everything in CSS so far, I kind of changed my mind and decided, why don't we go ahead and do the menu styling entirely in CSS? And that kind of keeps us completely in CSS without dealing with the templates for now. I'll talk a little bit about how we do templates in this particular structure, but given what we've done so far, I really want to focus mostly on the CSS. So how do we do that? Well, to start with, you'll see that you'll remember originally we had that overblown menu that had every page I'd included, including like little ones about my dissertation and things that were pages in WordPress, but I didn't want to show on the menu. Well, to clean that up, I've installed a plugin called Exclude Pages from Navigation. It was fairly easy to install. You just went and installed it like you do any plugin. And what that does is, if I look at my pages, for example, I have a page here that's my my CV that I don't want to show up right now on the main page as a navigation. Someday I might, but for now I don't. What that plugin does is adds a little checkbox here, include this page in user menus. And since I don't want this in the menu, it's not included. And as a result, I have kind of a clean set of 1, 2, 3, 4 little items that you can click on. Now, actually, this isn't a bad menu. This is the built-in menu, but I do want to style it a bit. So what I'll do is what I do with any kind of styling, and I'll go over to the appearance and to the editor and take a look at the CSS. And down at the very bottom of the CSS here, I'm going to add some things. So before we do, let's take a quick look at the structure of this menu, the way it's generated. I'm over here in using the Firebug, and I can take a look in the header, and under branding and under access, we've got the menu. So here's the menu. It's this whole chunk up here, and if we look, we've got, well, the way we expect a menu to be generated: an unordered list with a bunch of list items, and inside those list items are some links. Very straightforward, very clean, very nicely done. We should note here that the class for the whole thing is menu. The class for the unordered list is SF menu, and we can look in here, and the class items are page items, although we may not actually. We may just be able to use selectors directly to do that. So let's take a look at what we can do with this in the CSS. Let's go ahead and add in a section called Menu Restyle. I'm actually doing the prep thing here, so you don't have to watch me type. And to start with, let's go ahead and make the menu a bit wider. So we'll add in a menu width of 800. Let's go ahead and update that and see what it's looking like. And we find absolutely no change. Not surprising. Basically, the menu now is running out to the edge here, but since it's finished everything here, we don't really have to worry too much about it. So that's our first step. Now let's go ahead and start to make some changes to the SF menu, the UL, the unordered list. So what I've done here is that unordered list already had some things, so we want to do border for each of them, including the ones where we want no border. So what I've done is I put in a top line going across the top of the menu, and a bottom line actually a double line going along the bottom. I've got a left border none and a right border none. So let's see what that does for us. Okay, so now we've still got those lines on the side, and the reason for that is that they aren't actually part of the SF menu. That's that whole thing. That's the unordered list as a whole. Obviously, those list items have some borders as well, but we've added in a double line on the bottom and a single line up on the top, which is great. All right, let's also close this up just a little bit by changing the margin and padding a little. So we'll go ahead and add in a margin of 0 and a padding of 0 on the top and 240 on either side. You can probably guess what that will do. So what that does is it pushes things. We still have the long lines on either side, but it pushes things to the middle, which is what we want to do. Again, this is a fixed layout, so I can guess that it's 240 from the sides and have it work out. Actually, you'll see in a minute that it's a little bit more than that, but the 240 works out. All right. And just so you know, I have done this ahead of time, and it's not like I know 240. I played with it in Firebug and decided what these numbers should be as I was working them out. So let's take a look at the menu itself, and not at the whole UL, but the LIs within them. And we're going to do two things here. We're going to add in a little bit of side-to-side padding for each list item to give us a little bit of space in between each of the items. And we're going to change the background to transparent. Now, shouldn't it just be transparent by default? Yes, but in another... We'll take a look real quick. If we take a look at the list items, you'll see that right now it has a background, none repeat, in white. And so what we're doing here is we're overwriting that old background command, which is in default CSS. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. We're overwriting that old command, and we are and replacing it with transparent. So let's take a look at that. So we've changed it to background transparent. We'll update it. So good. So we've got that white background gone. We've still got these edges, the little, it's spaced out a bit here, see? We've still got the edges here that are being added in, and you can probably correctly guess that that is happening. Let's take a look. We'll refresh. That is happening in the A. So we've got the A here, and we've got SF menu A in default, and here's where it's adding in that border and some extra padding. So we need to go and check that also in the A. So if we go back to our CSS that we've been adding in, we've been adding in little pieces. We've done the menu at the top level, and we've done the, this is actually the UL for this class, SF menu. And then we've said inside that UL, let's adjust the LIs. Now let's go ahead and say inside those LIs, we're going to change the color of the text to CCC, which is a little bit off-white. We're going to get rid of all of those borders that have been vexing us. Okay, so let's see what that does once we've gotten rid of the borders and changed the text a bit. There we go. So now we've gotten rid of the borders. We have some light text there that works. It's still a little bit spaced out in there, and I don't like these in lowercase. I'm probably going to change the font as well, but for now at least let's make them uppercase and get rid of some of that padding to close it up a little. So we'll do text transform. I don't think we've run into that before. You can use this to take text that's on the page and make it capitalized. That is, with the first letter of each word capitalized. Or what I'm doing here and changing the whole thing into uppercase. And I'm getting rid of all the padding on the page. Let's update the file. Great. So this closes up that space. It gives us the lines right there, and it's changed everything into caps. Again, I'm not sure. Actually, in caps, it doesn't look that bad. I might keep this font for the menu as well. I've de-emphasized it by making it a gray rather than a black. That kind of pulls your eye. If it were a black bar all the way across, designers will tell you that this line all the way across is a mistake because it blocks up the page, and so we need to de-emphasize it a bit, and I've done that by graying it out a bit. I probably need to extend this line out a little bit. I lied. It's not actually working the way I expected, so I probably need to bring that out beyond 800 to have it work. There's another problem, which is that we want these to kind of, especially because it's so de-emphasized, I probably want this to make sure that at least they change colors. So I'm going to change the hover effects. We've talked about this before. There's something a little bit weird here, but I'm not going to deal with that. We're going to say when it's hovered, we still want the background to be transparent, and we want the color to be red. So back to where we were. We now have mouse overs that turn the color of it.